Hello, Nerd Universe, and welcome to the 10th episode of Insert Nerd Topic Here. We're going to be talking about Star Wars.
That's right. We are joined by our good friend Kaitlyn, who's back on the podcast with us again. This time, she's in the room with us, so she's got good audio, and we're going to be talking a lot about Star Wars today, so it's going to be a good time.
Don't worry, guys. We're all in the same room, but we are 6 feet apart.
Yes, we got to keep the quarantine rules going on.
Social distancing is still a thing.
Yes. So, Kaitlyn, to get this conversation
off the ground.
Off the ground, thank you. What did you think of Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker?
Episode 9. It's very controversial, but in a way, I do like it. There's some things that are questionable that could have been done differently, but in order to wrap up the Skywalker story, I think they did it justice, just enough. I mean, it's hard to say what could have been done would have been better, but it's done and the story's over and I'm content. I paid the movie ticket to see it, so.
How many times did you see it?
Just once.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that one. I saw it once on Disney Plus, and then I saw it in the theater and then once on Disney Plus. And I do not necessarily agree with that opinion.
I know you don't.
They have differing opinions on this, guys. I don't have an opinion.
I think it was so rushed, and I think they tried to cram way too much into one movie, and I think that ended up being flawed for them in the end. Because they basically they just tried to wrap up the story and tried to satisfy everybody, and it wasn't going to work, and they ended up disappointing more people than they ended up satisfying. So I felt it was pretty underwhelming. And you know, they brought back Lando just to be like, okay, we still have one more character that we haven't brought back from the original trilogy. Yeah. And like, we might as well just do it because the actor's alive and we can do it and whatever.
Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, I do think they did her death a little bit of justice. I mean, they did what they could do because they didn't actually have her for the movie. So I think the way they used old footage for her to create her in the movie was just awesome. I think
and
that
they
was
used
really
her
cool.
daughter for the flashback scenes for the I don't know when
when they were doing the lightsaber training. Yeah.
Which was really a great tribute to just the whole family.
I know it looked really good, and I'm pretty sure they used some deepfake technology actually.
Yes, yeah.
To recreate some of the young Luke and Leia.
Yes, yeah, definitely
scenes. In
That's
the movie.
interesting because you told me it wasn't deep fake.
No, different movie. That was Rogue One.
I don't care.
That was a different movie.
I was right.
with Leia again.
Yeah, with Leia.
I don't know what technology it is. Being a film student, I haven't learned that yet, but I mean, they're getting really good at doing it, and I do appreciate the advancement. But also, I hope they don't continue to do it, like bring back dead people that have been dead for a long time.
I don't think they will. I think they're going to start issuing in new actors as they've done. You know, they did it with Solo, actually.
Yeah.
They brought a new actor in to play a young Han Solo instead of trying to CGI Harrison Ford.
I love that actor because he's in Beautiful Creatures.
Yes, he's so good. I want to say his name, but I know I'm going to butcher it.
Alden Ehrenreich or something? I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I think he actually did a really good Solo. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I think that was better than them trying to, you know, recreate young Harrison Ford. Because I know Harrison Ford was kind of fed up with Star Wars. He was fed up with Star Wars after Episode 6.
I believe
and he was like, I don't care about this anymore, even though it made him famous and rich, which he then went on to be even more famous and rich. That and the Indiana Jones movies. But especially after Episode 7, when his character died.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
if you haven't seen Episode 7 at this point, what the hell are you doing? Like, go watch all of them.
Or just watch like a nice recap video of episodes 1 through 9. Because I mean, what are you doing here when you could be catching up?
Also, since we didn't mention it before, spoiler warning.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, episode 9 came out in December. Everybody should have seen it.
You should be updated by now. But I mean, I'm not. I saw the first.
Okay, for reference, Caroline has only seen episodes 4, 5, and 6. That's it.
I'm a baby, and I fell asleep during the one, which is gonna get me murdered by saying this.
Yeah. She's not gonna.
I'm just gonna sit here. It's fine.
She's just gonna commentate. But Kaitlyn and I have seen all the movies multiple times for some of them. multiple times for all of them in some cases.
Yeah,
but
I think the only two I've seen more than once are The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Yikes! But
so okay, her favorite trilogy is the sequel trilogy, which is the 3 newest movies. Why is that?
There's so much. Like, I think the first thing that comes to mind is that there's so much politics talk in 1 through 6. And yes, that's exciting. It's a literal war that we're watching, but I'd rather see other things in it. I can't really specify what right now, but there's just so much of that. And of course, special effects have gotten a lot better. The actors in it, I am very impressed with. Adam Driver's Bay. And I mean, I just loved the arc of both Kylo Ren and Rey, just because they have to follow all of this past stuff, which, I mean, without the past movies, we wouldn't have. But their character arcs can be seen as great in some cases if you don't count the last movie. So
I was not satisfied with Kylo Ren and Rey's character arc. I thought it was okay in The Force Awakens at the beginning of The Last Jedi, but then they started to overdo it. Also, I think the sequel trilogy, first of all, I do not like the sequel trilogy. I'm okay with it, but I definitely prefer the previous 2 trilogies to the sequel trilogy.
But what is your favorite trilogy?
The original trilogy.
Religiously.
The religious trilogy.
The religious trilogy?
No, the original trilogy.
So 4, 5, 6.
Yes, 4, 5, and 6. I think the prequels are just straight up memes, and it's awesome.
Okay, yes.
Some of the prequel stuff is just terrible.
I don't like sand. It's too coarse.
It's coarse and it's rough and it gets everywhere. I don't like.
It does though. It's everywhere for days.
Okay. Yeah, but you got to admit, George Lucas kind of lowered the bar.
They made money off of it. That's all that matters.
I do.
No, they did. Yeah.
And I haven't witnessed the old movies as they were first made, but apparently he made so many digital effect changes that people spited him for it, and that kind of sucks as a theatrical standpoint, because taking part in practical effects in film is such an amazing thing, and you make such great things. So him going over his previous creations was actually like really crazy in my opinion. He made a lot of things specifically for the movie. Like, he created the spaceships from scratch, and I mean, there's so much that he made and it's great and all. He didn't really need to add those special effects, because it does bring a more like a newer element to it, but it shows the nostalgia in it if you leave it in there.
Are you talking about with the prequel trilogy?
Yeah, like kind of like if you episode 6, like the Force Ghosts at the end, where they put in Hayden Christian instead of Darth Vader. Like
when they did the remasters.
Yeah.
Did you know that Jabba the Hutt was actually a person?
Yeah, it was in a puppet.
No, it was a person.
What?
Like, it was a guy, and then they made him this big slug thing.
Oh my god!
There was a guy, and then it was a puppet Jabba, and then it was a CGI Jabba.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen some of those guys.
I thought I saw the puppet.
You've seen Jabba the Hutt. You've seen the original.
I've seen the big
trilogy.
guys.
No, I've seen big guys that size. That's realistic.
So in A New Hope, there's actually a scene when Han Solo's getting on to the Millennium Falcon.
Yes.
After everybody else has already gotten on, and Jabba the Hutt's there, and there's a scene where he steps over his tail and like steps on it.
Yeah.
That shot actually wasn't in the original. He was just stepping over a pipe.
Huh.
But when they made the CGI Jabba, they actually put Jabba the Hutt there and made him like groan when they stepped on his tail. Or his worm, I don't know if it's a tail, but sure, we'll call it a tail. His slug worm body thing.
Ew.
That's what he is. He's
extremity. We can call it an
there you go.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's all one big body, so
it's a unit.
But I find that really interesting, and it made more sense for them to actually make Jabba the Hutt, the worm that he is, because it made more sense for episode 6 specifically. So
I agree. He was like a good made villain in a way, like just the embodiment of a nasty being. Yeah. So
if you actually watch the Clone Wars, I don't know if this is going to spoil the Clone Wars for you at all, but the Hutt family is actually mentioned a lot.
Hutt family.
Jabba is like, he's like in charge of the Hutt family, but all of the Hutts are kind of like masterminds in their own way, so that So they all, they're all scumbags, they're all criminals, they all do that kind of thing.
Imagine being that portrait artist.
What?
Drawing that family.
The family of worms.
You got a portrait artist.
A family
for
of
that.
worms. You were really waiting to say that, weren't you?
I just thought about it and I was like,
Beautiful,
that's
Caroline.
so good.
This big slimy family rolls up to the Walmart photo center getting their photos taken. How are we feeling about that?
Wow, yeah.
Somebody please Photoshop that and send it to us.
I mean, they've done really good Photoshops of like Han, Leia, and Adam Driver, like all the actors,
like the family
actors and
picture?
actresses. Yeah,
The family picture, that's
that is
hilarious.
awesome.
I've actually seen those. Those are good.
Yeah, but like, I don't think I really want a Jabba the Hutt family photo.
No, that would be a little extreme.
I want one to hang in the living room.
Oh, well, for that case, we'll go get you one right away,
Yeah,
Caroline.
we're gonna go do one right now.
Plans, guys.
Yes.
Okay, so getting back to what I was talking about.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. The sequels, I don't think do any of the old movies justice. Just because I think it was hard because they were. Okay, hold on. I know this is controversial.
I'm not belittling you in my mind right now. I think I agree with you in some points, but
yeah.
Anyways, continue.
I do think with the new CGI and with the new graphical fidelity of the new movies, and they're actually being high def and all that stuff, makes them more appealing from a visual standpoint. Like, I think there were some really cool moments in the sequel trilogy. However, I think the fact that they were directed by 3 different people,
Yeah.
or at least, well, they were directed technically by 2 different people, but J.J. Abrams actually stepped in kind of last minute to direct Episode 9, which I think is a big reason why it was flawed. But if they were all directed by the same person, I think that would have solved a lot, because the story would have been much more consistent. I
definitely agree. I believe they pretty much wrote each script separately, and if they would have written them together, I think it would have made more sense.
Yeah, I think if they actually sat down and worked out a plan for all 3 movies right away, it would have been fine.
Yeah. I think that goes for more than just Star Wars, too. That could go for anything that's a series, because, they change directors or writers around, and it just doesn't work out every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, that can definitely be applied to a lot of different things. But I think that's the biggest reason why the sequel trilogy suffered. Because not only, I don't think Rian Johnson for episode 8 did really anything that good.
Oh boy, that's my favorite one.
That's your favorite? Oh,
The Last
this is
Jedi.
gonna get good. This is gonna get good.
Going back to what you said at the beginning of this episode, I do agree that in the Rise of Skywalker, I had to think for a moment, I do believe that they were rushed. Like, they rushed the arcs, they rushed the storyline, and so I don't know if it's the continuity of not writing the scripts together or the director. There's so many variables on what went wrong there.
Having Palpatine be alive is just a huge stretch.
Yeah.
Huge stretch.
Yeah.
Like, I think if they had made Rey, they could still have made Rey a Palpatine, but had Palpatine not be the villain.
Yeah.
I think that was forced, and I think they were literally just like out of ideas of who's going to be the villain. We don't know.
They couldn't introduce a villain this late in.
Well, like the Knights of Ren would have made a great villain. They would have been great for the series.
I know.
And Kylo Ren actually, if he could have still turned to the light side just like Vader did, but I think if the Knights of Ren had been the villain and like Kylo could have turned on them at the end, that's fine.
Or they turned on him, and that's why he may have turned to the light, and they turn on him because he's not with them anymore.
Right. And then he and Rey fight them all. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I would have loved that. But I think the fact that Palpatine is alive and like they were using his clones or Snoke is a clone of failed clone of Palpatine.
I don't think Palpatine I think Palpatine used a clone of himself and then wasn't really alive. I don't. There's so many technicalities I've heard.
Snoke, who I'm glad they gave him some backstory by saying that he was a failed clone of Palpatine.
He's a puppet basically, right?
Yeah, they were basically just like he's been a puppet of Palpatine this entire time, which I'm like, what? No, I'm like, we've had no recollection of the fact that Palpatine was even remotely alive after the events of Episode 6. So
this could be the director, it could have been the script, it could have been the idea from the beginning, but
like, I think Episode 7 is the best of the sequels.
Why?
Well, if you actually look at it, there are like so many parallels between episode 7 and episode 4.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically the same story with
it's
just
the
new
start
characters.
of the hero's journey again with a different group of people.
But I'm okay with that.
It's a writing technique.
That's okay.
But I'm okay with that. They tried to change it too much in episodes 8 and 9. They tried to differ it, and I think that ultimately didn't work for them. And the reason why I like episode 7 of the 3 sequels the most, actually, episode 7 is one of my higher favorites. But it's the same classic story that we got, pretty much. There are some obviously differences.
Yes.
But it was an already good story, and they just changed it slightly to make it, newer and fresher.
Yes, but isn't that also just taking another old movie and recreating it, but not trying to copy it?
Yes, but I prefer that to movies that just try different things and don't succeed.
Okay, there's less risk to this option, I understand, but also creatively, you have to branch out eventually.
But I do think there are enough differences between episode 7 and episode 4 that it warrants it being okay.
Yeah.
Because, there are 2 droids crash land on a desert planet, after escaping.
Yeah.
And, well, in this case, it's 1 droid. It's just BB-8. And finds the hero, Rey.
The female hero this time, because feminism and the Me Too movement is a thing this generation.
Yes. Yeah. And, they built a bigger ball of death.
Oh, yeah.
Because, the first Death Star wasn't big enough, so they built a second one. Oh, the second Death Star wasn't big enough, so they built Starkiller Base.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And this is the second name change of the Jedi and Sith, correct? Right? No.
What do you mean?
Well, in the first 3 movies...
Oh, you mean the factions? You had the First Order and the Rebellion?
Yes,
yeah.
Which I do like that, but also...
But the Resistance and the Rebellion, like, to resist and to rebel are, like, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Loosely, they're, like, the same thing.
Yeah.
So, they really didn't do that many liberties with changing the Rebellion to the Resistance. Also, I think the fact that the, Stormtroopers have, not really changed that much... Clone troopers going to stormtroopers was a big jump because they actually had justification for them turning that way.
Yeah.
But why did the First Order look like that? Like, didn't they realize that A, stormtroopers can't hit anything, and B, the armor scheme is clearly too visible to be seen in any environment other than snow. They're white. They're wearing white.
What about the red stormtroopers?
The Sith troopers?
That's what they are?
The Sith troopers.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Didn't know they had a name.
The Sith troopers are... I think they're cool, actually.
I agree.
Also, if you've played Battlefront 2, the new Battlefront 2, they're really cool. They're really fun to play as. But, yeah, I just think the fact... Well, okay. When they didn't... Hold on, I'm just collecting my thoughts for a second.
Really quick, while you collect your thoughts. So, the Stormtroopers, they pretty much stayed the same universally throughout. So, it gives homage to the past movies, and it keeps the continuity there, which is great. And then, of course, Kylo Ren is imitating Darth Vader's outfit. So, there are consistencies. So, when you say that the 6th movie is the same... No. The 7th movie is the same as the 4th movie. I agree, because, there's a lot of similarities with costumes and... all of that stuff that I'm not going to be able to name
environments.
Right now. Everything, yeah. Yeah,
pretty much everything. Yeah, but I think the fact that they, in episode 9, when they just brought back the entire Imperial army, just came back. What? What?
Yeah.
What happened? Where were they this whole time? They were apparently in ice on Exegol this entire time? That makes zero sense.
And how were the tracking... pyramids, which had maps to where they were hiding, how were they in the Death Star? Who left them there?
The Emperor, probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's the Sith holocrons. The Sith holocrons?
Yeah.
He probably had a backup. According to what is said in episode 9, the Emperor had a contingency plan for everything.
Oh, okay. Because, he got yeeted down the little shooter dude thing. I'm sorry, I have no better word for it at this hour of day. So
and then the Death Star blew up.
Yeah.
So it's
how
in the world did he end up living throughout this whole thing? It just makes zero sense. But, apparently he's been hiding away on this planet the whole time, trying to keep his mind alive by machines. It was just...
It was a whirlwind.
I think the one moment in episode 9 that does it a little bit of justice... man, I just completely lost that moment. No, never mind. I got it again. Is at the very end when Rey is like channeling all the powers of all the other Jedi, and you actually hear all the other Jedi's voices from the previous movies.
That gave me goosebumps.
That I think was cool. However, I do not think she should be that powerful.
Oh man. She's the only Jedi. Well, she was before Ben turned, but she was the only known Jedi, like practicing Jedi magic. Forceness right then. So, I mean...
She's not the only Force-sensitive person.
No, she's not. But she's the only one reading all of the books. I don't... Besides Luke actually going
Those books were useless, according to Luke.
I know, but she learned how to heal. I would assume she learned how to heal through those books.
Oh, that was...
Okay, but...
And so it
begins. The Force healing...
That was just, I agree, that was just an additive.
Yoda couldn't even do that.
I agree, it was just an additive to make the end make sense, but...
I think Rey was way too powerful in episode 9.
Oh, I think
way too powerful.
I want to say that she earned it, but I don't think she earned it completely.
What trauma does she have?
She is a Palpatine's granddaughter, I mean...
Yeah, but she only learns that in the 9th movie.
Well, yeah.
I think she's too powerful throughout the whole entirety of the sequel trilogy. Except for 7, really.
Okay, but what did Ben do to get so powerful? Because he flipped on his family.
He actually had training.
Okay, yes, and then Rey took that from him because she somehow learned through him with the Force bonding.
Oh my God.
I love that. Shut up.
Oh my God.
It was so romantic. Shut up.
God. Oh my God.
I am in love with what's happening. This is everything. This is what I wanted from this episode, and I got it.
A lot of controversial opinions being said here.
Okay, I want to go back to another point you made earlier because I just want to make sure I cover things. But when you were mentioning in the... God, I'm going to mess this up again. But the 8th movie, I think at the end, I think they did a good enough ending and a good enough tie-up that, honestly, if they didn't have to tie up the Star Wars or the Skywalker story, that could have been an ending for like anything. I don't know. That movie...
Wait, you're saying you like the end to Last Jedi?
Yes, I do, but also because we have to see how the Skywalkers end up and see who's Rey's parents, we have to have another movie.
If Rey was a Kenobi, I would have been so much much more satisfied.
Oh, I know. I was so looking forward to it because she has an accent, and I'm like, it has to be. I don't know how, but it has to be.
I don't really think they cared about the accents. Like, you could have a British accent, you could have an American accent.
Well, the actor John Boyega, I'm so sorry.
Bodega.
But no, he has a British accent in real life, so I was like,
and
why?
And he plays as an American accent.
I know.
Yeah.
They always make them change. Doesn't matter what it is, TV show, movie, they'll make them change their accent for no reason.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But Daisy Ridley also has a British accent.
I know. If she was a Kenobi, I would have been
amazing.
So much more satisfied.
Well, hello there.
Hello there. With the movie, with all the movies in general, and it would, even though Obi-Wan never really had any kids, even if she was Obi-Wan's granddaughter, it would have been fine. I don't care.
Lost granddaughter.
But I don't think she warrants being that powerful.
Oh man.
She should not. Okay, you're not just born with like pure Jedi strength. Like, you actually have to earn it. Like, you're born with Force sensitivity, but you're not born with power, if that makes any sense.
But she trained when she could.
She did not train to use lightning out of her hands like she did.
Well, that was just too much, and it was mentioned that Kylo Ren was trying to pull that out of her to show her the other side.
She did not train to Force heal, as far as I know.
I swear it's in those books she read. She was studying those like she was in college.
Luke destroyed those books.
No, he didn't. It was on the Millennium Falcon. No, it was on his TIE fighter or something when she left.
On his X-Wing?
X-Wing. I don't know the correct terms, but yes.
Yes, it was on his X-Wing.
Oh yeah, because that's
TIE fighters of the Imperial ships.
Yeah. But no, it was on the ship that she left on.
Okay, I completely missed
that. Or it could have been on the Millennium Falcon. I'm not for sure, but it was there. She was studying them in the 9th movie.
You know what? You're right.
Yes, I am.
You're right. I don't. But at the end of episode 8, Luke and Yoda's ghost, they're like, those books are pointless. The books are useless.
I think that Yoda was trying to reassure him that she would do well.
The sacred texts. Sorry.
The sacred texts. Oh my god. But no, I think Yoda was trying to bring his wisdom one last time to Luke because, Luke was freaking out whenever he was first becoming a Jedi.
Yeah.
I think he was just trying to calm him down and just let him realize that she has to figure this out on her own, just like you somewhat did, even though I led you in the right direction. And I promise you she'll be okay.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Luke, he tried to teach his nephew, and it didn't turn out at all well, so he's scared also.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Rey warrants the power. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like that's a very big man thing to say of you.
Oh.
You're gonna have so many fangirls just like attacking you after this.
Okay.
I mean, I don't feel personally attacked.
No. Okay. I'm not saying
feel so attacked right now.
I'm not saying that because Rey is a woman, she doesn't deserve that power. I'm saying because she didn't have training to use the kind of power like that. That is something even Master Jedi couldn't even understand how to do.
So you're saying that even if she was a guy, you would say too OP.
Yeah.
But okay.
I would.
I accept the fact that you did not make it because of her as a woman, which is fine. I'm not personally attacked. I hope not very many people are, but she got a little bit of training from Luke. She got the sacred text. She went back to Leia, who has always been a nice mentor to her, and she probably got a little bit more because in episode 9 they show the flashback, which they've never shown Leia fighting before, which I want to talk about that too, but
go for it. Yeah.
I mean, she had people there to teach her, not very many. She learned her on her own, and again, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's canon that she took the Force, whatever. She learned from Kylo's moves too. They have similar fight styles.
Yeah.
Isn't that because of the bond thing? I'm asking because I have no idea.
The bond.
The bong.
The bond.
Bong?
Bond?
I meant bond.
The bond.
I promise. I believe it's slightly because of the bond, but also Palpatine says, it's been me the whole time. You guys aren't strong enough to have a bond on your own.
Yeah,
but
I like how Snoke was just like, yeah, it's been me the whole time. And
yeah.
then Palpatine's like, no, it's been me the whole time.
It was literally so epic with when Palpatine was like, I have been every voice you have ever heard inside your head. I said that wrong, but it was just, I loved it.
It was impactful regardless.
Yeah. Thank you, Caroline. Yes, it was.
Okay.
Anyways, but no, I wanted to talk about, what was it? Now I'm doing the Chris thing.
Okay.
You were going to talk about Leia fighting.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
Go for it.
So in the original trilogy, they do not show Leia using the Force at all. No. And then when she is in all of the new movies, she has her Force powers all of a sudden.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, she doesn't know that she has the Force in the original ones, does she?
Well, she does when she finds out she's Luke's sister.
But that's not at the very beginning. So she's
that's in episode. That's in episode 6.
Aha!
However, there was like a 30-year time gap in between episode 6 and 7.
What?
Yeah, that is true. Yes.
Where have I been?
Oh, sorry. It's more like 20 years.
Well, I mean, because Han Solo and Leia had Kylo Ren or Ben Solo, so I mean, he's got to be 20s or 30s at least.
Yeah, and Rey was around that age too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so there's a considerable time gap between 6 and 7.
I'm learning things.
Yeah.
The Empire had to fall, and the First Order had to rise from the ashes of the Empire.
Oh boy. We gotta talk about Hux too. I have a thing, but
what is
okay. Well, let's
yeah. Go back to Leia.
But Leia, I don't know if it's because they had to show the more women empowered stuff now that we've gone through all of this stuff, and it would be women shaming, mansplaining or something. I don't know if that's
I have to ask.
Yes.
The scene in episode 8 where she force pulls herself back into the cockpit. What do you think about that?
It was okay as a
because I absolutely hate that moment.
I know you do. As a viewer, I really was flabbergasted just to be seeing this. I don't think it should be possible just because she would have gotten blown to pieces if she was in that cockpit.
Well, yeah.
But because it's Disney, they're not going to show flying
That
limbs.
was the most Disney I've ever seen Star Wars.
Like
that was the Disney princess in her.
That's Mary Poppins pulling herself back to the ship.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. From Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, so does that mean that you would not go to the Disney park?
What?
Oh, I want to go.
Oh, no. I will go to the Disney park just to sit in the Millennium Falcon cockpit.
Just because it's so Disney-fied?
No. Disney movie. Not Disney park. Those are different things.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I would much rather, I would much rather her story have ended there. As much as I like hate to say that. I know Carrie Fisher died after that, which
made that moment so much worse for me, honestly, knowing that.
Well, yeah, because knowing that, I had seen Last Jedi 3 times at the theaters.
Yeah.
And
so it must have been kind of good, huh?
The first time I saw it was opening night.
Yeah.
And so Carrie Fisher hadn't died at that point.
I thought she had. I thought it was wait, no.
Oh no, she had.
It was Christmas time because her mom died and then she died right after.
She died about 4 days after Christmas.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi was released before Christmas.
Yeah, so maybe I didn't see it until after.
So it was only a couple weeks later that we found out that Carrie Fisher died.
Which was so sad.
I think it might. I don't know. I might be getting the timeline wrong, but whatever. I think now knowing that Carrie Fisher had died after she had finished filming the movie, I would have been like, she should have died right there, like in the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way they're gonna make her in episode 9. They can't, but they did. Yeah. Incredibly, I think. But I think that moment was so forced in episode 8. I think Disney was so pushing them to be like, we gotta make this cool. We gotta make this epic. And and Rian Johnson was like, okay.
I think I think it's more about they wanted Luke and Leia to have a reunion.
I do agree with that. And that needed to happen.
Yeah. And I believe if they maybe had cut her out of the last movie, it might have helped by having more time.
Did you know that when Kylo Ren and Rey are fighting on the Death Star, the person that visits Kylo Ren in a vision is Han Solo, but that was actually supposed to be Leia.
Yes, I know this, and it's sad.
It is sad. I actually think what they did with Han Solo was actually good. Like, I actually liked it.
I agree.
And I think, I'm sure Harrison Ford was all like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, he was all like,
grumpy boy.
He was all grumpy Harrison. By the way, Mark Hamill does a great Harrison Ford impression, if you haven't seen it. But I think having Harrison Ford there or having Han Solo there was just actually pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good save on their part. I agree.
And it showed the redemption of of Ben.
Yeah. I thought that was a redeeming moment. Yes. I don't know. But I do think the Last Jedi scene with Leia was forced. But yeah. And actually, if you think about it, she and Luke never actually reunited.
I know.
Because Luke was a projection that entire time. He was not real.
And then she never actually got to reunite with Ben, but she force projected her last essence into the Han Solo figure, which is really sad.
It's sort of like Princess Leia died of like old age. Yeah. It's kind of like she died as...
She did the same thing Luke did. She used all of the last of her force, and because she was so old, she died and evaporated.
Yeah. That's what I think is redeeming. I think that was one of the better things they did in episode 9. It was peaceful. It was appropriate. It was a fitting end to Leia. Yes. As much as we hate to see Leia go, it was what it was.
General Hux deserved better. He was a bigger figure in episode 7, and they just belittled him to the very end, and he died.
I will admit, though, I was very surprised to see that plot twist.
Oh, I know. That was nice. I liked it.
I was genuinely surprised that he was a spy the entire time. Yeah. I was like, whoa. I don't know if it was the entire time. I think it was actually only in episode 9 that he became a spy.
He just wanted to get back at Kylo.
He was so fed up with him.
Oh, I know. I loved it, though.
He was so fed up with him.
But, I mean, he's literally addressing an army of soldiers in the first movie, and he looks scary, and he's, like, big, and then they just dwindle him down to nothing, and it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I don't really think they did him justice, but I think the spy was a nice twist that it was him. Yeah. I think that served a little bit of purpose.
Let me pose a question to you guys.
Go for it.
Throughout all the movies, who is your favorite character? Oh. That's right, I'm laying that question down.
I have a feeling I know what Kaitlyn's going to say.
Do you now?
Well, I'm not going to guess, so you go. Who is it?
I love Rey just as a female character, but... Kylo Ren is my most favorite.
That's what I was looking for.
Just when I saw him in The Force Awakens, that it's like it's the most influential character, just like Loki hit me in the Avengers. Like it's something as heavy as that, and he just yes, I wish he had better. Yes, I wish he talked more at the very end of the movie in episode 9. But I just loved how troubled he was, how he tried to overcome it, how he was trying to be so himself, but he was so lost. And he's a nice little dark puppy that I wish I had. But anyways.
Dark puppy.
Dark puppy boy.
My favorite character is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You look like him.
I do?
Oh, thank
you. Ewan McGregor is a man. I love Obi-Wan's character, especially in the prequels and in episode 4.
He's a delight.
I think he is one of the best characters. I actually think he has some of the better lines of the prequels.
Oh, yeah.
Like, his lines are actually, like, comedic and kind of funny. And he's a powerful Jedi. He's one of the only ones that lived at the end of episode, and the end of Order 66, which I think did him a lot of justice.
Yes.
And I think was worthy. I think he needed to live. And I don't know. I just like that he serves as a mentor to Luke, and I think he's a cool guy.
He's definitely one of the greatest tier characters.
Although, if I had to pick another character, I'd pick Darth Vader.
Ooh,
because easily one of the most iconic villains in all of cinema.
Of course.
Everyone likes a good villain.
One of the, like, I didn't really think Darth Vader was, like, that dark until I saw the Rogue One scene where he's just slaughtering rebels in the hallway.
So good.
And then I was like, whoa, he's cool. Terrifying, but cool.
Yes.
And I was like, this is awesome. So.
Thank you guys for your insight. You got a lot to talk about. I'm sure maybe we'll have to do another one sometime, maybe.
Oh, we could talk about Star Wars for years.
That's horrifying to me.
Yes.
But for now, we're going to have to wrap this up. Stay tuned next week for Species Awareness, Aliens. We're going to be talking all about the aliens in everything. Movies,
including
TV.
Ones in Star Wars. So if you still like Star Wars, stay tuned for next week.
It's just going to branch off of that and everything.
Yes.
Thank you, Kaitlyn, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it. Loving being here with you. And
we love having
of course,
you.
Star Wars.
And we will see you all in the next episode. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.
Insert Nerd Topic Here is hosted by Caroline Vaught and Chris Rogers.
Connect with us on our social media pages. On Twitter @NerdTopicsPod. On Instagram @NerdTopicsPodcast. On Facebook, Insert Nerd Topic Here Podcast or @Nerd Topic Podcast. Or subscribe on YouTube, Insert Nerd Topic Here.
Reach out to us via email at insertnerdtopics@gmail.com. New episodes release every Saturday at noon Central Time. Thanks for listening.